Don't fuck it up.
Hi, I'm Jordan and I play bass.
I'm Casey, I play guitar and sing.
I'm Jayne and I play drums.
I'm Fister and I play guitar.
And we're Virginity! Fucking nailed it that time. I mean, come on. We're like the Beatles.
Alright, 3 more.
We can do it one more time.
I guess 6 years ago now, I was doing stand-up comedy and I'd been doing it for a while. I was feeling real stagnant with it, and I was also dealing with some mental health stuff, and I started kind of writing songs as sort of like therapy. And at the same time, me and this guy were doing a Midtown cover band for this one show, and I hadn't played in a band in years, and I just had a blast, and I was writing these songs, and just sort of snowballed into this over the course of those years. Then came Jordan, then later Chris, and that's it.
I, me, I.
One of the most special moments we've had as a band was we went to Chicago and did Audio Tree, and that was like the first time Chris ever played with us.
My very first show ever with this band is on Spotify forever.
I'm not saying it was that we were that good, but it was really a really fun experience.
Personally, I think
it
it
was
was like
fun.
the best out of the 4 of us.
That was the least special part of it. The best and most special part of being in this band in Chicago was going to Wrigley Field, getting hot dogs, and
That's true.
Cubs White Sox.
Yeah, eating ourselves into oblivion.
One of my favorite, most memorable Florida shows happened when I was a teenager. This guy's gonna hate this. When I was a teenager, I was probably 13 or 14. I was in the 8th grade, and they used to have this small festival in the city right outside of Daytona Beach called Port Orange, called Spring Music Fest, and they would get local bands to come and play, and it was put on by my high school, actually, which is the place I currently work.
You've come so far.
I've come so far. And so one of those years, the year I was in 8th grade, was just great. There was a lot of like pretty good bands. Like, I'm sure if I look back on it now, I'd be like, they were fucking, a lot of them were not that good. But for me at that time in my life, it was huge to just see regular people playing music and stuff. And the night ended with this guy's old band playing. They were a punk ska band called Brownie Points, and they fucking ruled. And yeah, they were one of my favorite bands for years when I was a kid and stuff. But that show in particular, I'd heard their record online, I think, and yeah, I was at that show sitting on the stage watching them play. It was my first time seeing them, and the crowd was just buck wild. It was just a fucking fun ass show.
That was an incredible show.
I think you're fucking past.
Oh shit! Okay, so that is also Spring Music Fest, but this was later in life, and I had a band at this time in my life. So we were playing it, of course. It was my high school, and I got grounded for some. I can't even remember what I did. A couple weeks before the show, and my mom was like, "You're not playing that fucking show," and I was like, "That's like grounding everyone in my band. They didn't do anything. Like, you got to at least go." And this, by the way, this place that this takes place at is a 5-minute walk from my house. I was like,
And
at least
a
just
giant amphitheater, like
yeah.
a huge.
I was like, just let me walk over. I'll play the show. I'll come back. You can't punish everybody. And she was just like, no, you're grounded. And I was like, all right, fuck it. So then I sort of resigned myself to it. And then the day before, I told my band, I was scheduled to work. And my mom knew that because she was checking my schedules. And I called my band and I was like, I'm calling out of work. They're not going to know. They're not going to call my mom, and my mom's already seen my schedule. And I'll just go. I'll play the show. I'll run back to my house. She'll be at work. She'll never know. So I did it. And everything went great. We had a fine set. It was wonderful. Got back to my house like it never happened. 2 days later, a massive full-color photo of our band was in the newspaper, and like, my mom's a hairdresser, so every person she knew in town called her to be like, "Your son's band's in the paper, isn't it wonderful?" And yeah, and I got in a lot of trouble.
We're a band called Virginity. We just put out a new record 1 month ago today called Bad Jazz. Hey, thanks a lot. We're gonna play that whole fucking thing right now.
Whose idea was it that we should play the record like basically live?
The Beatles.
The Beatles, it was their idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that the initial concept of how Bad Jazz would be recorded came from us getting obsessed with that Beatles documentary that came out on Disney Plus.
Watching them be shitty in the room with each other, like not being
Yes.
perfect.
Just
they're
dudes.
always
Just
presented
dudes.
as this like, you know, infallible unit that just sounds incredible at all times, and then you see them fucking around
Yeah.
and not, you know, working through it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's
It's something you should inherently know, but you're shown, like, they're just like every other band, basically. They're fucking off. They're not great all the time, especially during practice when the stakes are real low. But then, you know, they would also fucking make some magic and shit. But the documentary is about them making a live album, or at least attempting to. And we were just like, we're gonna do that too. For no good reason, but we did hold ourselves to it.
we did.
I mean, there's a lot of overdubs and stuff, but
There's-
the core of the record is us playing in the room right there.
Looking at each other, very organic. Happened. If you're hearing drums, guitars, and bass, that happened at the same time.
As it became clear we were going to do it live and stuff, just the idea that we wanted to keep things as real and authentic as possible was the hope. So recording it live naturally felt good.
Yeah, I
to
think
keep
that
it
weekend you set up like a rig and we recorded some stuff live.
We did.
And we were listening back to it and we were like, oh, we could do this.
Yeah, that we could do it. Yeah, and we were supposed to do the record a lot earlier, but 2022 was like a pretty fucking terrible year for a number of reasons, and we were like stunted from being able to start.
Yeah.
And my house flooded. That's when we made the record.
Lots of,
Where we are right now.
yeah.
Death, cancer, all
Water
kinds of
fever.
fun stuff happened, and then we were patient through it, and I think it actually ended up being a better record because of it.
About 5 minutes into the writing session at Jordan's that weekend, I ran into a plate glass window and broke my nose.
That was the next one.
Was it?
No, that was the
There was a lot of blood.
there was a lot of blood. I was just like, yes, that was like 5 minutes into the second one. You walked into that glass, I saw the blood, and I was like, this is fucking over. This weekend is over.
No.
And 10
going
minutes
to the
later, we were
hospital.
Chris
back
is
in it.
dead.
I was hysterically laughing. I just couldn't sing or hear very well.
I'll just say, like, on that first weekend, when the bulk was written, like, we went in there, I fear, at least from my perspective, like, I didn't really know exactly what was going to happen. Like, I did not have as much prepared as I would normally going into this shit. Normally I would have had everything, and I was just coming in with bits, and I was like, well, we'll just work it together. But we'd never done that before, so I didn't know how it was going to work. And the first song we worked on isn't on this record. It'll come out later, but it set the tone for the whole thing of how we would go about doing it, which is to play it 9,000 fucking times until we were all pretty happy. We were still playing shows, and we were jazzed on the songs, so we would be playing them live, which was not a thing we'd done at this band at all. Like, we'd never play a song live off our first 3 things until after it was already recorded, just by how it shook out. But a couple of these songs, like half of the record really, we played out for almost 2 years. So they would continue to shift and evolve and stuff. And that was another thing about recording live, is like we never had to decide we were done until we were done. Like, until we were like, that was good.
And we really pushed that limit of being done too.
It's funny. Would we do it again in the future?
I think it's a good system. I would love to do the record.
Probably
when we
some
do it again.
some like combination.
Might be a hybrid type situation, because we also found that there were some songs that we just weren't very good at getting great in the room takes. You know, they were fine, but they weren't, like, none of us felt good about putting it out. So I think the song will dictate, but by and large, we got the shit in the room.
Yeah. What we did that was tedious but was awesome was, I think we played every song 10 times and recorded every song 10 times.
But some of them we had never played together as a band.
Sure.
So by the 10th take,
There was something.
Yeah.
And I think that was awesome. The magic number was 9. Like, the 9th one's always going to be the best one.
Yeah, there's just an energy that it's hard to capture if you're not playing all at the same time. Kind of like the communication is happening. You can tell the difference. Like, a couple of these songs we had started recordings of prior to everything that got fucked up in 2022.
We have like traditional recordings of 3
a couple of these,
and they suck.
And when we put them next to each other, you're just like, well, the fucking, like, these ones might be, you know, technically perfect,
tighter,
or whatever, but like, this fucking rocks. So. Got a spare 31 minutes listening to bad jazz. I think if you give it an honest listen, there's something there for everybody.